power of the heart. Finding your inner wisdom.
The power of the heart.
Finding the power of the heart.
The power of the heart.
The
Power of the heart. Power of the heart.
让我们寻回心的力量。
The power of the heart.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yuru Chao. You are tuning in to the Power of the Heart on Dai Radio. Dr. Lin Junrong, CEO of Tzu Chi Medical Mission, has said that the global nursing shortage has been a crucial issue in the medical field. Taiwan is facing the same situation. Among the 6 Tzu Chi hospitals, Taipei and Taichung hospitals are located in the metropolitan areas. The rest 4 are suburban to rural hospitals. They are Dalian Tzu Chi Hospital on the southwest coast and Hualien Yuli Guanshan hospitals on the east coast. They all experience shortage of nurses. Although recruitment is all year round, most nursing graduates choose to work close to home or in the metropolitan area to enjoy convenience of life. The 3 rural hospitals on the East Coast lack the competitive advantage because of their geographical location. Each June, these 6 hospitals' nursing departments are busy recruiting new nurses. Many head nurses visited their own alma mater schools to encourage students with passion in nursing to join them. Since Hualien Hospital is both a medical and education center, nurses are encouraged to do research to realize their full potential in advanced studies in addition to their regular nursing duties. 4 scholarships are granted to qualifying nursing students in Tzu Chi Nursing School. Many of these students are Aboriginal children who would otherwise not have the money to continue their education. Where education is provided, there's hope. Hope for the students, their families, and their communities. When they graduated, they served in the Tzu Chi hospitals for a number of years to fulfill their obligation. Some choose to stay after they completed their obligation because they like their colleagues and workplace. In our program today, we'll begin with a reading of Master Cheng Yan's teaching on life economics about we all have unlimited potential. This reading is provided by Mr. Colin Legerton.
You are listening to The Power of the Heart on Dai Radio.
Section 2. We all have unlimited potential. I saw a news report about a teacher who teaches visually impaired students with computers. He guides the students to experience the world with their hands to broaden their view. Although these students cannot see the beautiful landscapes in the world, they now have wonderful scenes in their minds. He is truly a good spiritual teacher for his students. These visually impaired students have pure hearts. They do not seek materialism or long for pleasure. They are content with rich spiritual nourishment. These students have even learned to walk about freely in their own space without the help of walking sticks. It is a testimony that we all have unlimited potential. Man is said to be the master of all living beings because human beings have wisdom. Wisdom is the most precious thing. When our wisdom is obscured by worries, we begin to rely on material enjoyment, which is empty and worthless, like a flower that quickly withers away, or a dream that vanishes as fast as sea foam. We should all return to living a practical life, so that our lives can be meaningful and valuable. Fulfill our duties, enhance our abilities. One day, many years ago, I was ready to give my morning teaching after our morning service. It was still dark, everything was calm and tranquil. I heard birds chirping in the trees and insects singing on the ground. I even heard the frogs croaking. I looked outside and saw a frog in the faint light. It hopped a few steps and then jumped into the lotus pond. That morning I told this story. One morning, the monks in a Buddhist monastery were going through their morning service. The scene was solemn and dignified. During the service, a frog leapt into the main hall. Seeing the service, the frog felt envious and inferior. It thought to itself, "It is so nice to be a human. They have 2 legs to walk on, and they are elegant and graceful when they pay their respects to the Buddha. I wish I could have 2 legs like the humans." The frog prayed every day, and finally his dream came true. The frog stood up and walked on his 2 legs, proudly showing off how he was different from other frogs. Then a big hungry snake appeared. The other frogs quickly hopped away. Yet the frog that walked on 2 legs had given up its original ability. It was unable to jump away in the face of danger. At the critical moment, it regretted its action. Why did I want to mimic humans and lose my own ability? This story illustrates the importance of upholding our duties. As humans, our duty is to protect all beings on earth and create peace with light and love in our hearts. When we uphold our duties, we also enhance our abilities. That is, when we mindfully do our best in our daily lives, we naturally gain the abilities to make a living. However, if we are envious of other people who are wealthier and higher in status, we have transgressed our duties. There are some who vigilantly uphold their duties. Even though their living conditions are inferior to others, they have a natural ability to transcend themselves. Mr. Xie Kunshan, for example, is truly remarkable. People say that our 2 hands are capable of anything, but Mr. Xie has no hands. It is said that we can travel 10,000 miles with our 2 legs, yet Mr. Xie is handicapped in both legs. 1 leg is missing, while his toes on the other atrophied due to injury. We say that we can see everything in the world with our 2 eyes, but one of Mr. Xie's eyes is impaired. Nonetheless, his natural talents and his ability to make a living transcend those of other people. He is very independent in his daily life. For instance, when he brushes his teeth, he puts the toothbrush on the rim of the wash basin, secures it with his short arm stub, and moves his head to brush his teeth. His teeth are white and healthy, with no traces of fillings. In addition, he is able to do housework and take care of his young children. He always thinks of new ways to make it work. Mr. Xie has diligently studied painting. One of his works, a painting of lotus flowers, hangs in the hallway of the Heart Lotus Ward in Hualien Siji General Hospital. If you look carefully, you can see the Buddha's image embedded in the painting. Many people are not able to produce such a magnificent painting with their 2 hands, yet he did it by holding the paintbrush in his mouth. Not only does he earn a living with his talent, he also teaches this skill to others. He sets a great example for many people who are physically healthy but spiritually impaired. Everyone has the natural instinct for survival. When we do not fulfill our duties, we will lose our natural instinct and abilities and be unable to behave properly. I often watch the seniors in the Grassroots Bodhi program on Da'ai television. I am delighted when I hear them say something philosophical. These elders may not be well educated, but if you listen closely, there is truth in the words that comes from their life experience. Due to the prospering economy, many families today live comfortably, and children are spoiled with rich resources. Because of this overly comfortable lifestyle, they become discontented and their spirits suffer unspeakably. On the other hand, Children from poor families know that they should work hard, love themselves, be content, and fulfill their duties. They live in the joy of simplicity. In Jai, there are 2 little girls who used to take care of their paralyzed and bedridden mother so that their father could go to work. The older sister would run home from her primary school during 10-minute recesses to turn her mother over in bed, look after her hygiene, help her into a wheelchair, and then run back to school. The younger sister, a kindergartner, would help with household chores after school. The 2 sisters never complained about their situation, and they also maintained good grades in school. Later, Suji volunteers learned of the family's hardships. They arranged for the mother to be treated in the hospital. The sisters not only took care of her during her hospitalization, they also volunteered in the hospital. After rehabilitation, their mother can now sit in a wheelchair and move about by herself. What qualifies as the best environment? It is an environment in which we can abide by principles, fulfill our duties, and utilize our abilities. When we encounter obstacles in life, we must immediately summon up our courage and face the obstacles responsibly. Then we will not have wasted our lives. Abide by the rules, attain freedom. We are all pursuing something. Some seek physical freedom, while others seek spiritual freedom. There are 2 types of approaches in the pursuit of spiritual freedom. Some people discipline their own minds, pursue the truth, and learn to accommodate and forgive others. They try to achieve spiritual freedom by acquiring a peaceful mind. Others are more narrow-minded. They dwell on petty matters and cause disputes. They think that individual freedom means doing whatever they want. Actually, their minds are like wild horses running wild, filled with fears and afflictions. How can they attain spiritual freedom this way? Likewise, there are 2 ways to pursue physical freedom. One is practiced by those who fulfill their duties, abide by principles, act cautiously, avoid wrongdoings, and dedicate themselves to helping people in need. As a result, these people are worry-free and at ease, no matter where they are. Yet there are others who hold deluded thoughts. They think that they can do whatever they want. They race cars, take drugs, and indulge in excessive pleasure, which often results in the loss of their physical freedom. Wise people pursue the true liberation of both body and mind. If we abide by the rules and at the same time benefit humankind, our bodies and minds will be joyful and at ease. We will then achieve true liberation. On the other hand, freedom without self-control is as dangerous as an ignorant child playing with fire. On the path of life, each of us should respect other people's freedom. We should not hinder another's freedom by acting only on our own will. We cannot abandon character education and etiquette. When we all follow rules and moral principles, take on our own responsibilities, and nurture good intentions, the world will be blessed. If we stress liberation and freedom without rules or guidelines, we will lose our direction and there will be chaos. Therefore, we must all have rules and precepts in our lives. Precepts help us avoid wrongdoings, stop evil deeds, and prevent ourselves from overstepping propriety. They provide us with a code of conduct to guide our behavior. As humans, we should focus on our humanity and follow human morals. We must uphold the 5 precepts and 5 constant virtues. We must discipline ourselves to avoid wrongdoings and observe the 5 traditional relationships. If we can do this, then all will be good and society will be harmonious. The 5 constant virtues are benevolence, righteousness, etiquette, wisdom, and trust. These 5 constant virtues correspond to the 5 Buddhist precepts: benevolence to no killing, righteousness to no stealing, etiquette to no infidelity, wisdom to no alcohol, and trust to no lying. These constant virtues and precepts spell out the correct path in life. The first precept is no killing. Life is the most precious thing in the world. Killing others and killing oneself both violate the precept of no killing. The Buddha has taught us to love and cherish all beings, as all beings share the Buddha's nature. If humans regard themselves as the masters of all beings, they must protect all the myriad beings in the universe. The next precept is no stealing. When an individual desires another's wealth and property and takes actions to obtain them, he or she is liable to commit a minor theft or major robbery. A robbery attempt may even lead to killing. Therefore, stealing is prohibited. No infidelity is also necessary. Husband and wife should love and respect each other. That is the foundation of a happy family. If either side commits adultery, it will disrupt the family and society as well. No alcohol. We should always keep our minds clear and sharp so that wisdom may develop. Drinking alcohol disturbs our disposition. A great number of crimes are committed because people lose their reasoning and self-control. No lying. We must be true and sincere in order to be respected and trusted. How can a person conduct himself in this world if he is not trustworthy? As Confucius said, "I do not know how a man who is without good faith is to get on. Like a wagon without its yoke bar for the ox, or a carriage without its collar bar for the horses, how can these be made to go?" The 5 traditional relationships are the relationships between father and son, ruler and subject, husband and wife, elder and younger siblings, and friends. These are the rules of human relationships. In today's society, the ruler-subject relationship can be viewed as the employer-employee relationship. The employer should trust the employee, and the employee should be loyal to the employer. Parents and children should uphold their close relationship. Husband and wife should be polite to one another and work together to shoulder their family responsibilities, including raising children. No one should depart from these rules. In the family, older siblings should be kind to younger ones, and younger ones should respect their elders. Friends should keep their word with one another. Upholding the etiquette of human relationships is our basic duty as human beings. The 5 precepts and the 5 traditional relationships are all fundamental rules to maintain an orderly society as well as a happy family. When each of us upholds the 5 cardinal relationships, abides by precepts, and carries out moral principles, we will all live happily and peacefully, and our society will be harmonious and healthy. Self-discipline leads to plenty. Mr. Lai, Assistant Superintendent of Dalian Tzu General Hospital, once told an interesting story. Although short and light-hearted, it held profound truth. A child was walking down the street. He started to cry sadly when he noticed that he had lost $10. "Why are you crying, child?" a Good Samaritan asked. "I lost $10, the child replied. "Do not cry, I will give you the money." After receiving the $10, the child cried even louder. The Good Samaritan thought that the child was moved to tears. He tried to comfort the child. "Do not cry, it is only $10, not much." The child replied, "I am crying because I would have had $20 now if I had not lost my $10. Most people have the same mindset as this child. Of course we are sad when we lose something, but are we happy when we regain our loss? If we are not content, then we will never be happy. I often say that many people are having 1, lacking 9. For instance, people with high salaries often begrudge a little extra work. They complain about lacking overtime pay, extra allowance on business trips, and so on. These people get lost in quibbling over petty things. The Buddha teaches us that our life is like a dream. If we want a dream of enjoyment, we are like children blowing colorful bubbles. Every bubble is beautiful, but lasts only for a short moment. No matter how beautiful the dream may be, we still must face the real world when we awaken. We must deal with reality and use our wisdom to choose the right path. We must avoid both extremes of greedy with endless desires and stingy while unwilling to give. Many years ago, we helped an old retired school principal who had continued to live in his school's housing facilities even after retirement. The school repeatedly asked him to move, but he would not. Finally, the school offered him a small, shabby old hut on the school premises, thinking he might refuse and leave because of the primitive conditions. Surprisingly, he accepted the arrangement just to save on housing expenses. The man was in the final stage of liver cancer when Tzu volunteers came into contact with him. There was no one to care for him, so Tzu volunteers checked him into the hospital for treatment. During his hospital stay, the volunteers looked after him and supplemented his meal expenses until he passed away. The hospital asked Suji to help with his funeral arrangements, so the volunteers cleaned his body and changed his clothing. A hospital staff member produced a shabby-looking package wrapped in old newspapers that the old man had left behind, and asked Suji volunteers to take care of it too. The volunteers discovered that the old newspapers and rags held gold and a bank passbook for an account with more than $5,000. At that time, $5,000 was a large sum that could purchase several houses. Later, Suji found out that the man had a son living abroad who had not come back for a long time. Every year the man sent money to his son, but he never let his son know how much money he had. He was so thrifty he was reluctant to spend money on himself. In the end, Suji volunteers gave all his belongings to the township office and contacted his son to come claim it. Unused wealth is as good as trash. It is difficult to understand why he spent his life that way. Moreover, greed for wealth can also cause harm. There is one such case in a Buddhist sutra. One day, the Buddha was walking along a drainage ditch by the roadside, and Ananda, the Buddha's cousin and disciple, was following behind him. Suddenly the Buddha turned around and said to Ananda, "A poisonous snake." Ananda looked into the ditch and replied respectfully, "Indeed it is a poisonous snake." A father and son walking behind them overheard their conversation. They also looked into the ditch, but discovered it was a jar of gold. They happily took the gold home. Soon afterwards, government officers came to their house to question them. "We heard that there is a jar of gold in your house that was stolen from the national treasury." The father and son answered anxiously, "No, we did not steal it. We found it in a ditch." Because they could not prove that they had not stolen the jar, they were arrested and found guilty. The father sighed and said, "It was indeed a poisonous snake." "Yes, we encountered a poisonous snake," the son concurred. The officer in charge of the case felt the statement peculiar and asked, "What are you talking about?" The father told him what had happened. After further investigation, the officer decided that they were innocent and released them. The Buddha used this story to teach practitioners. A greedy mind is like an invisible poisonous snake. One should eliminate greedy desires to avoid calamities. We often encounter tangible and intangible calamities because of greed. Therefore, even during an economic depression, we should use this story to teach ourselves to eliminate our greed and return to our original nature. In other words, we should revert back to our pure and clean innate nature, work diligently, and live frugally so that we can live healthily and safely. Once, a Suji volunteer was laid off from his job. His family always worked hard and lived frugally. They ate simple meals and never threw away leftovers. They took home tables and chairs that others discarded, fixed them up, and used them. Their children read second-hand books and worked with them at the recycling center. They valued a happy life together over indulging in materialistic desires. Although out of a job, the man was rich in his heart because he could volunteer during his period of unemployment. He felt happy every day. Is this not a rich life? If we choose to live simply and peacefully, what else do we need? We should cherish the earth with gratitude and treasure every object with love. To a wise person, there is no such thing as trash in the world. He can make good use of everything so that natural resources will always be in abundance. Unfortunately, most people are extremely wasteful. They blindly follow fashion trends and spend lavishly to buy unnecessary merchandise. They do not cherish what they have, and they throw away things that have not yet broken. Our vanity drives us to chase after the latest fashion trends. We should not buy anything on impulse. Instead, we should buy only what we need. Because they are necessities, we should cherish them and use them with care. Even when these things are old and worn out, we can still find creative ways to reuse them. I know of an elderly lady who cherishes everything. For example, she will cut out the good section of a worn-out bedsheet and make a beautiful cushion by following the original floral pattern. She carefully takes apart broken umbrellas, recycles the metal spokes, and uses the fabric to make raincoats. If she has a damaged handbag, she will cut, mend, and sew it into a new bag. She even sews the edges of her bags with electric wires to make them sturdier and prettier. This is not only a virtue of cherishing things with her skill, but also a show of her wisdom. Since she was young, her creativity has allowed her to find ingenious ways to fix up used objects. There is no trash in her hands. She saves the hot water she uses to wash her face in the morning in a discarded but usable thermos bottle. Then, throughout the day, she has warm water for washing her hands. Some people complain that they are old and useless, but this elderly lady never thinks that way. She and her husband are both over 80 years old, and they have been volunteering together at the recycling center for more than a decade. They are indeed treasures of humanity. This elderly lady cherishes human relationships and natural resources, as well as the objects she uses every day. She employs her wisdom and ability to work, and treats each object she encounters as a beautiful piece of art. Her virtues of cherishing blessings, treasuring objects, and reusing everything are great examples for us to follow. If we can all do this as she does, our natural resources will not be depleted so quickly. Reusing goods will ensure that the materials we need will not run out. Living in this world, we should learn to overcome our desires and use our wisdom to cherish all objects. Then we will always have plenty of natural resources.
For giving me such a warm embrace, staying by my side when I feel sad. Now my heart's full of love, I won't bend in the wind. Lend my shoulder for people to cry on.
Sincerely, I give you an understanding smile, staying by your side and your worries. Just when you raise your head and your tears flow no more, oh, how it moves my heart. I know there's love in this world that's worth waiting for. Shielded hearts will open up eventually. Wounds will heal when we forgive. Doubts will vanish when we care. Trust is the most moving part. For giving me such a warm embrace, staying by my side when I feel sad. Now my heart's full of love, I won't bend in the wind. Lend my shoulder for people to cry on. Sincerely, I give you an understanding smile, staying by your side and your worries. Just when you raise your head and your tears flow no more, oh, how it moves my heart. I know there's love in this world that's worth waiting for. Shielded hearts will open up eventually. Wounds will heal when we forgive. will vanish when we can. Trust is the most moving love. I know there's love in this world that's worth waiting for. Shielded hearts will open up eventually. Wounds will heal when we forgive. Doubts will vanish when we can. Trust is the most moving love.